Hi everybody, Monday afternoon. So what a weekend of football we've had. So welcome to the Property Life and Footy with Rob, Rach and Millie. Just what a crack of a weekend we have of football. I just want to mention we are going to focus on a particular area and a particular team, but I just want to mention what a cracker of a game it was watching the Dolphins play on Saturday afternoon against Canberra. Like, they have put their mark on this season already. And the master has just done it again. He did it with the baby Broncos 30 years ago, and I think he's going to do it with the team he's got with the Dolphins. And those players who did not sign, I bet you they're kicking themselves now.
I mean, how lucky am I? I got to see the great Jack Gibson, and now I'm seeing the second version of Jack Gibson in Bennett. Both masterful coaches, both masterful at what they do, which is a great link to where we're doing. We're actually going to be talking about the suburb of Parramatta and the football team of Parramatta. Two totally different entities, two totally different when it comes to success and meeting their potential, but both amazing places. Rach, Parramatta Football Club.
I think, I think they're very similar. If you look at, for me, this has been a learning process because for some reason I thought Parramatta was a foundation club. So it's only when we were doing the research about the club and when it's the origins and how it started. So initially, two local identities there was pressure for them to form a club to join the New South Wales Rugby League. And that was in the early 30s. So in 1936, they then did a formal proposal, and that was done by the two Jacks. So it was Jack, their surnames actually escape me.
Two old buggers.
Yeah, two old buggers. Very passionate about their football and about their region. But it was very interesting to note that the only side that did not reject the proposal at that time was Western Suburbs. And they had the most to lose because they were neighbouring to Parramatta and they had their fan base were at jeopardy. But they welcomed in with open arms. It was very interesting. If World War II had happened, the team would have been admitted earlier, but because of that, the proposal was put on hold and they did not then join the comp until 1946.
But I think West honestly had a guilty conscience because in the very first year in 1908, when my side, West Magpies, joined, there was a side called Cumberland, which, as anyone in Sydney knows, is part of Parramatta.
Yeah, that's correct.
But after 1 year, West decided I'll have them and they merged them in.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why I think they had a little bit of what you call guilty conscience.
Yeah. But when they joined, officially joined 1946, really didn't have much luck. It really wasn't until we got to the early 80s, 81, 82, 86. And that's what I remember as a teenager watching the footy. Even though I grew up in Queensland, we always watched the Sydney League. And that was a golden era. That's when the master, Jack Gibson, got a hold of the team, and I think he changed the face of not just Parramatta, but league as we know it now. He was a visionary coach, and that was the era of the Sterling, the Brett Kenny, the Mick Cronin, Ray Price, you name it. They were the masters. And we don't forget, these guys worked all week. So worked a normal job, a 40-hour week, did their training, then rocked up to their games and played, had a few beers with the mates afterward, went back to work on the Monday. So I know the modern game is completely different, but we have to pay respect to these guys who were hard men, played hard, but yet had to work hard to support their families as well.
The one thing that does worry me, if Parramatta ever reach their potential and actually win another comp, since they haven't won since 1986. Back in 1986 when they did it, they burnt down Cumberland Oval. So I reckon, we might be a little bit worried if they win. They have got a very, very good side. They just need to show that they can win it. There's nothing stopping Parramatta winning the comp except Parramatta.
I'd have to agree there. I think they haven't reached their full potential. I think Brad Arthur is a very good coach. I think he's got the right strategies in place. He's got the right players on the team. But it also comes down to a mental game, and can they back their ability, what they do in training. We haven't seen it on the field.
No. And
I know we're only 2 games into the comp, but you've had their side really had, unlike West Tigers, who have got a completely new side, who are still forming, their moves and getting to know how each other play. Parramatta have got no excuse.
No.
They really have not had a lot of changes over this compared to the team that were on the field in 2022 to the team they're fielding now in 2023. It's not that much different.
No,
so
not
they
at
really
all.
have got the same playing base. They should have hit the ground running in 2023. So the fact that they haven't, and I'm not a football expert, I just love footy. And I know, I think I'm the junior Wayne Bennett when I'm coaching via the TV screen.
Ask her, she'll tell you.
on a weekend when I'm yelling and screaming at either St George or West, to play harder, run straight, pass the ball, all that stuff that I'm yelling at the TV. The dog thinks I'm a lunatic. But anyway, I just think players have got to believe in themselves. And I think Bennett has shown that with a group of players he's got. I'll go back to the Dolphins. If any other team want to look at the success, I know it's only early days in the season, got a long way to go and a lot of things can happen, but they have shown true potential. But anyway, we want to talk property. We're going to talk about Parramatta. So I'm going to hand over to Rob, and he's got some great details regarding the suburb Parramatta.
If you're talking about potential, Parramatta, the actual suburb, people see the city of Parramatta, which is fantastic, but the actual suburb of Parramatta is this absolute centre of Sydney. People don't realise this. And this is a place now that has fully reached its potential. It is going off. There are so many people, since COVID, people have changed where they work, how they work. There has been a report this week that's come out that a lot of Sydney offices have downsized, but haven't downsized and stayed in the Sydney CBD. They've downsized and moved to Parramatta. Now, the Parramatta suburb itself only has 26,000 people in it, but it's a mixture, remember, of commercial, industrial, 3-bedroom homes and units.
Yeah, I think people don't understand when you talk about the centre of Sydney, how large Sydney, if you're not from Sydney, I don't think you realise the scope and the breadth of how actually big Sydney city is.
Yeah.
So it's if we're talking about the geographical centre of Sydney, that's what Parramatta is. It's no longer the Sydney CBD, which is right in the city.
Yeah.
So the geographical hub and heart is Parramatta and Parramatta district, commercial district.
So if I could say to you, I can give you a train service that's 15 minutes to the Sydney CBD. You've got your own theatres. You've got a world-class stadium in Parramatta Stadium. You actually don't need a car. If you are living in a 2-bedroom unit in Parramatta, you've got everything you ever need. You are literally 6 minutes from Homebush.
The light rail.
With the light, and the light rail is just about to come in, which is going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And people say, but how can I afford to live there? Wow, this is the untapped potential. A 3-bedroom home, remember these homes are older homes around the Parramatta area, actually in the suburb. Most of them are only 3 bedrooms, and they're 1.3 to 1.4 million. But here is the big one. You can pick up a unit, the average price for a 2-bedroom unit is only 600,000. Yes,
Great
you can
buying.
get some in high 4s and you get some probably in low 9s. But when you think about it, the amount of investment that's going in there, they're only paying on average about $500 a week rent. The reason is there's something big difference, but the units versus the houses. In the last 4 years, the houses have gone up 24%. Units are basically flatlined. And people would say, but that would be bad. Not necessarily, because there's been so many units built, demand has been high. So when demand is high, your property prices will go down because there's plenty out there.
Yeah, but also depends on what you're looking for. Like when you're buying a property, you have to look at what is going to suit you at the particular point in time. Do you want growth, like capital growth in the property you're buying? Or if you're buying for an investment, are you just after the yield? So that's where us as buyer's agents really come into our field, because we can have that discussion with you when we're going through your brief and say, what are you actually looking for? What's your end goal with regards to buying a property? So if you're going out and doing that on your own, you're just going to go, well, I just want to buy a property. I just want to get into the market. But what is your end goal? What is your aim? And what are you actually looking for?
I mean, when you're looking for a house, say in the Parramatta area, you're looking for the age. Does it need to be rewired? Does it need to have a lot of renovation? Will I get my money back on that home? You've got to look at that. When you're looking at a unit, it might be the most magnificent unit and it might be cheap. You go, hang on a minute, this is a good buy. But when you look at body corporates, when you look at insurances and the rates, it might not be. There still is some great things available in Parramatta. But if you add in a gym, you add in a pool, you add in, say, 2 car spaces instead of 1, that's going to cost you more on your body corporate. So as Race just said, you need to know exactly what you're looking for. And the only way to do it and get the right way and find the right unit or the right house is to engage a buyer's agent, because we do all that hard work for you. We look at the return on the investment. We look at the good areas, the bad areas. Every suburb in every country in every world has good and bad areas where they will get better value for money, better growth. If you are a unit around the Roxy is, I think it's a 50-year-old theatre that's been closed for 10 years. They've just announced that's about to be reborn back into what it was, a theatre and a restaurant. If you're into that type of thing, you're going to live and want to live close to that, because that area is about to explode with entertainment, with wine bars, with restaurants, with takeaway food. It is vibrant. But again, it comes down to, is that what you really want? And Parramatta, in all, as much as I'm not a big fan of the football team because they've got all my good players and I'd love to have the chance to choke in the finals like they do.
So we have an in-joke in our house who has not played for West Tigers or Western Suburbs back in the day, because it was like, one of those carousels. It's like, next.
Well, yeah, that's sort of true. That's sort of true.
It's a fact. So getting back to when you're looking at, when you were saying about people what they wanted to buy, like they're looking at an established home, they're looking at a unit. I was just thinking about the time factor it takes when you're actually going out every Saturday and looking at open homes. You're strolling through the realestate.com to try and work out which property should we go and see this weekend. The time factor. How much time do you actually have? There's an old saying that there's 86,300 seconds in a day. How much of that are you going to waste looking at properties when you could engage a buyer's agent who are going to do that for you and give you back that time?
So good. Now, there is 3 things to this podcast. One is life.
Yes.
And I was thinking that, and we've got a good story here. We all know that granddaughters in a grandmother's mind cannot do anything wrong, unlike husbands. So they could do anything and it can go wrong. But we had a very funny thing happen in our household over the weekend where our granddaughter, for the first time in her little 4-year life, ended up on Nana's naughty list. Would you like to tell our listeners very quickly what happened to the granddaughter that's now been written out of the wheel, but I think might get back into it?
Broke Nana's lolly jar.
Not the lolly jar.
The lolly jar.
You are not allowed to touch Nana's lolly jar. Not even I am.
Yeah, so hence we have a household with no snakes, no jelly beans, no strawberries, no Milky Ways. All my favourites are going out the door, and there's nothing until I go shopping tomorrow. So no lollies. So
if there's anyone from Darrell wants to sponsor our podcast, it'll make Rachel really, really happy. She'll get a lolly jar back.
Unhappy Nana.
Unhappy? No, we can't have unhappy Nana.
Nanny wasn't very happy yesterday afternoon, but anyway.
No,
we moved on.
I hid in the garden, so that I was pretty safe for the day.
We moved on.
So thank you everyone for joining us. Now, if there is an area that is very close to a football team and you want us to look at it, drop us a note, send us a message. Say, can you go and have a look at this? And we'll do our research and we'll do our best to come back in the next couple of weeks with some of the areas you'd like to see. So I'll hand it over to Rach to say...
Hasta la vista. We will be back, unlike Arnie.
He's still around. He's not dead yet.
I know, he's still around. So, no, we will be back. So, again, we're Lansdowne Property Group. We're buyers agents. We're based in the southwest of Sydney, in the beautiful Macarthur district. If you want to know anything with regards to our services, you want to have a chat, which is obligation free, then we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or I've got a webpage. You can find more details about that. Our contact details are on that. So drop us a message and we're happy to have a chat with you. If you want us to have, as Rob said, want to know something more particular about property around the country, which is separate to our podcast we're doing, you've got an interest, you want to have a chat about rugby league. We also follow AFL. Well, I follow AFL.
I don't.
Rob doesn't, he lasts until...
Rugby, go to Waratahs.
Until half time at an AFL live match. Where I love the game. Go the Mighty Bombers.
You'll find me in the bar.
Yeah, with rugby union, it's the Waratahs. Love a bit of basketball. Go to Kings.
And anyone playing Queensland?
Yeah, and anybody playing Queensland. Yeah.
So have a groovy day, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.
Peace out, peeps.